Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Karan Rose.
Thank you to everybody tuning in to another episode of the Digipreneur FM podcast. And as usual, it is your boy, Mr. Rose. I love that intro music, man. 1 year later and I'm still crushing on the intro music. But DJ, you know what to do. You gotta fade us all the way out, DJ. You gotta fade us all the way out because we gotta talk to the people. We have yet another exciting episode, another gem-dropping episode, another episode where there's so much to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. And I'm just grateful that we get to do this. So I think is this the first episode of September? I'm just checking. Oh, no, we did one on September 1st. Happy September, folks. If you are new to the Digipreneur FM podcast, if this is the first time you are checking out the podcast, welcome. I hope you stick around. And if you have, listened to more than 5 episodes of the Digipreneur FM podcast, hey! If you've listened to 10 episodes, we got to drop a bomb for you. And if you have been listening to the podcast from day one, brilliant. I hope that you have gained, some worthwhile knowledge while tuning into the podcast. We have a lot of fun over on this side of town. You know what I mean? We have a lot of fun over on this side of the interwebs. Now, podcasting really has become my favorite medium. It has become my favorite medium. My go-to will always be to write because it's easy. I don't need much. I could just walk around with my iPad. My iPad has not built-in, but my iPad has the keyboard attachment. So I could always move with my iPad wherever I need to go, and I could be in a ride share. I could write. I could be at Starbucks and write. I could write at any point in time. So blogging has always been my go-to because for me, it's the easiest thing to get done for me, and I could express myself really well via writing. And the energy that I get to have while I'm writing, I don't have to be on camera. I don't gotta be on a microphone, but I could play music and I could have fun and I could write. So blogging always really is. I have so much fun doing it, right? And I just like the mood and the vibe I can put myself in when I write. However, podcasting is just so much fun. I think when you are doing this, whatever medium you decide to create content for, you got to make it fun for yourself, So for me with podcasting, I have my studio set up. I have my mixing board, my Rodecaster Pro that allows me to do my sound effects, and I have all my tools that allow me to have fun creating a high quality podcast. And I get to be in some sweats. I get to be hoodied up and not in you're going out hoodies and stuff like that. Like I get to be homely, I get to be homely. I get to be in my element. And you get to hear me, you hear my excitement, you get to feel my energy when we jump on the podcast, right? But with video requires me to be in a whole different frame of mind. The lights got to go on. So, when I podcast at like usually 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Right now it's 7 o'clock. I slept in. I went out last night. I slept in today, so we're getting the podcast a little bit later. But usually I like to podcast at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And I don't want to be on video at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I would rather, it's easier for me to write or do a podcast where I do not have to be on video. The lights don't have to be on. I usually have my Philips hues, and I usually have like, a nice little moody color, filling up the room, and I just get to put myself in a vibe, I put myself in a vibe, and I have my fun, when I do my podcasting. So, we always kind of just go a little bit off track before we actually get into it in the beginning. It's September 6th. This is episode 99. What? This is episode 99.
Bang, 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 connect.
Episode 99. We're going to hit 100. We're going to hit 100. We're going to hit it this week. That's going to be super dope, man. That's going to be super dope. 100 episodes in of podcasting. 1 year of consistent podcasting. And let me tell you something, as a up-and-coming business entrepreneur, content creator, consistency really is the name of the game. And not just doing the bare minimum. Not just putting up quotes. To me, quotes is like bare minimum. And now, before everybody was just posting, well, not everybody, but people were posting just a lot of static quotes. And now people have upgraded. People are, putting video quotes and trying to take advantage of reels and whatnot, doing video. That's like, to me, that's the bare minimum. And it's okay to sprinkle those things in there, but if you're if we go to your page and it's consistently just quotes, and now we go to your page and it's a video in the background of you and a quote, like consistently, that ain't it. When you are a business owner and you got to be creating content, like, you really need to explore your niche. You have to explore your industry. Your content needs to be a resource. Your content should not just be a feel-good place. Like, I should not just be going to your page as a business, right? As a business, I should not just be going to your page and just feeling like I'm getting a dopamine spike just because you're just posting a bunch of feel-good quotes or a bunch of feel-good videos, right? If you are in business and you're creating you should be creating content, but if you are in business, your business page needs to be a resource. People should be wanting to go back to your page, because every single time we go to your page, you are showing that you understand your industry, right? You understand your industry. We go to your page, we learn something. We learn something that we are able to take back into our lives and implement. Whether your business be a solution or product based, you're in business to solve a problem. You're either in business to solve a problem or you're in business to help somebody achieve a desire. And your goal with your content should be to explore that entire industry. It should not be that every single time I go to your page as a business owner, that all you have is quotes, feel-good quotes. What am I going to do with that? Sprinkling them in here and there, no problem. But as a business owner, if whenever we go to your page and that's all we see, feel good content, it doesn't do you anything. It might get you likes. People might be like, yeah, oh my God, needed that. Oh, makes sense. Oh, just so I needed to perk me up like it's coffee. A picker-upper, right? That doesn't do much for your business. It doesn't establish you. It doesn't help build your audience. It doesn't build your credibility. It doesn't show that you as a business owner understand your space. You can't do that in a quote pick. And if you're doing quotes consistently, You're only shooting yourself in the foot. And that's actually a great lead up into today's episode. Today's episode is 6 reasons why you need long form content. 6 reasons why you need long form content. Now, the reason, these episodes always come up because you see things happening in the space and you just wonder, where business owners' minds are at. When I look at other business pages, right? We're talking Caribbean businesses. When we look at other Caribbean business pages, you are hard pressed to find anybody who is really showcasing that they understand the industry that they are in. Right? That's to start things off. You go to their page, they say that, this is who they are, this is their business, this is what they do, and it's their business page. And you look at their business page, and it's a lot of quotes, a lot of feel-good content, a lot of tips, all this short-form content. And the problem with short-form content is that it doesn't actually do much for you other than pique curiosity or give somebody a feel-good hit. All right? What your short-form content should be doing on social media, remember, we're talking to business owners. So we're not talking to the content creators who are just creating random content and, posting their stuff. We're talking to business owners here. Your short-form content should be teasing people to your long-form content. It should be giving people, a quick tip, a quick win, sure. But the goal of your short-form content is to bring people back to your long-form content. Or it should be bringing people back to make a purchase somewhere, to take action to do something else. That action could be, hey, you know what? For more tips, jump on our email list, link in bio. You like this tip? This tip is a part of our 6 tips to do X, Y, and Z. And that 6-tip video is a 15, 20-minute video on YouTube, or it's a podcast, or it's a 2,000-word blog. You know what I mean? But you were able to take your long-form content and chop it down on social media and let people know the call to action is to bring people back to the long-form content, right? Now, one of the reasons why you hear mostly business owners talk about how, people's attention span isn't where it needs to be. Video needs to be 30 seconds or less and da-da-da-da because people, their attention spans are so short. And this is the reality. People's attention spans are only short depending on the platform they're engaging with you on. So if you're on TikTok, and remember, TikTok released the update. Remember, TikTok has been expanding into longer form content because they realize people want longer form content. So at first it was 15-second videos, then it was 30-second videos, then 1 minute, then it was 3 minutes, and then remember TikTok a few months ago released the update for 10-minute videos. Why? Because they realized people wanted longer form content. People wanted longer form content. So even the idea that the platform that was really pushing short form content in today's time, TikTok, even TikTok realized that, people want long form content. They want long form content, and it works better for us because we get to keep them on the platform longer. All right? So the attention span really depends on the platform that people on. When you think about TikTok makes it easy to scroll, right? Instagram makes it easy to scroll as well, but Instagram also allows you to put, long form content on the platform as well. But people's attention spans on Instagram or on TikTok tend to be short. The shortest attention span for a social media platform is really Twitter, right? Twitter doesn't give you too much. But that is also why Twitter released Spaces. That's also why Twitter is now allowing you to convert your Spaces audio into podcasts. Because once again, they have realized people want the long form content. They want the long form content. And they're figuring out ways to give you the long form content in the context of their platform. So the idea of, people's attention spans are short really comes down to the platform that they are choosing. The social media platforms they're on might be more conducive to quick content. But then the other flip side to that is, are you creating content worth sticking around for? If all you do is create 15-second videos, 30-second videos, you're not giving the people any opportunity to engage with you for a longer form of time, right? Is your content even worth sticking around for longer than 30 seconds? Some of y'all have realized, people just don't stick around for you longer than 30 seconds. That's all you give your people, right? But let's dive into it, right? So I got into one of my points, but I wanna officially get into the 6 reasons as to why you need long form content, right? So number 1, the first reason why you need long form content is short form content can never paint the whole picture. It doesn't show that you understand the problem enough. People who focus only on short form content are usually misguided in thinking that people's attention spans are short, but attention spans, as I was saying, are more about the platforms that people are, watching your content on, and also whether your content can hold your attention. Case in point, when you think about your own habits. When do you tend to listen to long form content? Chances are, if you're listening to the podcast, all of my podcasts are an hour long. They're typically an hour long, 45 minutes to an hour long. The average consumption rate of a podcast is over 84%. Over 84% of people who listen to podcasts listen from start to finish. Podcasts have the highest consumption rate of any type of content on any medium. They have the highest consumption rate. Think about what you're doing when you listen to a podcast, right? Podcast is the only platform that allows for passive consumption. So people can cook, they can go work out, they can drive, they can do other things while listening to a podcast, right? So the attention spans are there. People put their headphones on, they press play, they put their device down, they go do other things while listening to you. All right? There's no other type of content that allows for passive consumption. So podcasts, you can get away with, having longer form content. And remember, the most popular podcast on the market, right, is Joe Rogan's podcast, and Joe Rogan's podcast is 3 hours long and change. And that's the most popular, the most world famous podcast in the world. And his podcasts are over 3 hours in length, right? But then he chops up the interviews into clips, and that's what he pushes out. But it all leads back to the long form episodes. All right. When you watch someone's short form content, you're always left wondering, okay, I want more information. But if you are trying to dissect if you're trying to dissect a topic or an idea, in under 1 minute. You can never properly exercise an idea in 1 minute. You can give a synapse. You might be able to take 1 point. Excuse me. Hold on. You know I'll be sometimes. Yeah, you might be able to take a point of a larger idea and turn it into a 1 minute video, a 2 minute video. But any idea needs time for you to exercise and bring about your points. All right? And fully explore the topic at hand. Short form content, your 1 minute videos, you got to rush through that. Or you got to take, if you want to, again, if you're taking an idea and you're breaking it up into small pieces, that's several videos to do that. And then what happens over time is that it gets lost in translation because your ideas are all over the place. They're all over your page, right? That's why they brought out playlists and stuff like that. But even with the playlist, people miss it. Even with the playlist, people miss it. So your short form content just never gets to dive into the whole picture. And that can be harmful too. Because people listen to the short form content, and because you can't go in depth on short form content, they don't fully understand the complexities of some of the topics you guys are trying to dive into. And so it can hurt more than it can help. All right? So short form content never gets to paint that picture. And you have a lot of folks that, believe that, well, why are we going to create why are we going to create long form content when people's attention spans, they're not there anymore? Well, again, where are you putting your content? If your content is only available, and again, this is another problem that business owners in the Caribbean have. You're not creating any long form content. You don't have a website, so you're not blogging, or if you do have a website, you're not blogging. You don't have a YouTube channel, so you're not putting out, your long-form video content over there. You don't have a podcast, so you're not creating your long-form content on audio as well. You're only ever creating short-form content or a short-form video, and then your video is usually not engaging. It's really salesy. It's not edutaining. It's not educating me, and it's not entertaining me. It's usually just very, very salesy. And then when you look at, your engagement or you look at your average watch time, it's low and people just are not watching your stuff. And then that is why many of the business owners think that people's attention spans aren't there. No, they're just not watching and interested in your content, right? They're just not interested in your specific content. So the second reason why you need long form content is your short form content should be teasers to your long form content, people. People still have questions or need more information after watching your short form content. Your long form content should be exploring those ideas your short form content tease. The best way to do short form content as a business is to create long form pieces of content, cut them up, and distribute the short form pieces of content. That way, when people want to get more information, the call to action should be to direct them back to the long form pieces of content. So it's easy for me to take this podcast episode, right? 6 reasons you need long form content, and then cut up each individual reason and release it as a TikTok video, release it as a reel, put that out across all social media platforms. And the call to action is, hey, if you like this, check out the podcast episode. We dive into it on a deeper level. And then people who were interested in the individual tips, in the individual reasons, they could then say, all right, I need more, right? Sure, they can go and watch the other bite-sized pieces, and if that's enough for them, great. But for people that want more context and more information, and they want to sit down and really immerse themselves in the conversation, they get to do that via the podcast. They'll go and subscribe to the podcast. They'll put their headphones in and go work on and listen to the entire thing. Or they'll turn this on in the car on their way to work, on their commute, and you get to keep them company. All right? People driving, people working out, they're not watching your TikTok videos. When people are driving, when people are cooking, when people want to be immersed, they want immersive content. They will turn on a YouTube video. Right? They'll turn on a YouTube video and listen to the video and peek over depending on what they are doing. Right? Maybe they're on the treadmill or they're on the elliptical or they're on the bike and they throw their phone up. They might watch a YouTube video, but if you're on that, okay, the video is 25 minutes. Great. Well, I'm going to be on this bike for 30 minutes. So, this one video should take me to the end of that. Right? Or you do a podcast and people taking the podcast, while they're doing other things. So your short form video should always be teasing to your long form content. That is how you bring traction to your long form content. And people want to get immersed in your content. They'll go to your long form content. Your short form content doesn't allow people to get immersed in your content. Your short form content is bam, 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 quick hits. It's a nice little jab, right? A nice little quick fix, a nice little dopamine hit. But when people really want the in-depth information, when they want to be immersed in your content, they are going to go and watch your long-form content, right? And as a business owner, that is how you establish yourself. That's how you establish yourself in the market. That's how you establish trust. Allow people to get immersed in your content. Which brings us to point number 3. Number 3 is short form content doesn't establish expertise. And if short form content doesn't establish expertise, there is a reason why becoming a thought leader in your industry, that's the stamp of approval for other thought leaders to say, damn, this is a thought leader. This is somebody who is stamped and approved as a thought leader. Is a 30,000 word book. 30,000 word book. 30,000 plus words. And the reason why a 30,000 word book has always been the stamp of approval for thought leaders is that it shows you understand your industry, the problems, the solutions, and that you can go in depth about the topic. Because 30,000 words, that's a book. That's a good sized book. And if you can take an idea and write 30,000 words about the idea, that is going to allow you to go in depth, and that allows your audience to say, this person understands the industry, they understand the niche, they understand the problems, and they understand the solutions because they were able to dive in deep with a 30,000 word book on that. So that is why a book is always seen as a stamp of approval for thought leaders. And that's why it's such a big deal. That's why publishing is such a big deal. Getting your stuff in print is such a big deal because it shows people that you understand what is happening in your industry. Even when they don't agree, even if they have a difference of opinion, it still shows that you've sat down and you put in the work to write this book. 30,000 word book. That is the stamp of approval of a thought leader. Long form content via a book. So, that is the third reason why you need long form content. Because short form content doesn't establish expertise. When you see people, when you stack up two people, right? If expert A, if business owner A only has short form content, only has TikTok videos, only has quotes, on all their social media platforms and nothing else. But, Business B, they have blogs, they have articles, they have podcasts, they have YouTube videos, long form YouTube videos. In your audience's mind, they will always gravitate towards person B. Business B will always get their money because they've established trust. Even if they follow business A, even if they follow them, they will never be put on the same level as the person with the long form content because they don't view business owner A as the expert. Sure, they might have nice tips. And that nice tips is good when you want that quick fix. You want that quick fix between, you're scrolling, cool, you've learned a new tip. But they're never seen as the level of authority as that person who has a book, has a podcast, has long form content. They're never seen on the same level. So as a business owner, you don't want to be looked at as the same level with a lot of the other people in your space. And your long form content is going to establish yourself as that expertise. Your short form content just doesn't do the same trick. Just doesn't do it. All right. Reason number 4, long form content gives your audience the option to binge and immerse yourself in the content. Now, I kind of teased that in one of my points because I went off, but long form content gives your audience the option to binge and immerse yourself in the content. All right. Think about Netflix. Netflix allows you to binge and immerse yourself. A new series comes on, you just press play, and after one episode is done, you don't even have to press play. It's going to automatically play the next episode. Your long form content allows people to do that. Your YouTube videos allows them to go into the next YouTube video. Your podcast allows them to go into the next podcast automatically, right? Your blogs, your blogs are not going to be automatic, but if somebody's reading your blogs, they're already on your page. And then, once your blog is set up correctly, it's automatically going to be recommending other blogs, or you're also going to be linking to other blogs that assist the current blog that the people are reading. So they can easily click and go to another blog and read. And again, they can binge. And people binge on blogs. You will see, if you have the right tools set up on your website, right? You will see people go from blog to blog to blog. And in one sitting, somebody might read 6 or 7 blogs. That's like 7, well, again, depending on how many words your blogs are, but like on average, my blogs are like 1,000 words, 1,000 to 2,000 words. So let's just say 1,000 words. When I go and check my analytics and I'm seeing that, one person has read like 7 blogs in one visit to the website in one session, they've just read 7,000 words. They've just immersed themselves in your content. They've just binged on your blogs. When you have an hour-long podcast, people can immerse themselves in your content. One of the biggest compliments to me is somebody might post, I might comment on a post, and people will respond to the comment and be like, yo, why did I just read this in your voice? That to me is like a big compliment, when people start to read your words in your voice, and your voice is always in their head. People tell me that too. They're like, yo, they see something and they're like, yo, that little Karen devil, that little Karen angel is just on their shoulder, with a voice in their head as they're doing something. And your voice is always in their head. You're taking up that real estate in their mind. You're taking up mind share. And that happens when people just immerse yourself in your content. They get to understand, your slang, your slogans, your thought process, your ideas. So when they see these things play out in real life, they're like, oh boy, I wonder what Karen would say right now. I know what he would say. He would say, damn, this company is wildin'. You know, they pick up your slogan. They see you in these situations and they start to wonder what you would say. And their voice is in your head. Right? Your long form content gets to give your audience that. Right? And that's something that your short form content doesn't get to do. Your short form content is a taste. It's a taste. Your long form content really gets to immerse people and allow them to binge. So when they want to just, they're on the treadmill and they're going for an hour, they could throw on an hour podcast. Or maybe your podcast is 30 minutes long and they get to listen to 2 podcasts. Or maybe your podcast is 15 minutes long and they get to listen to a few. But they get to binge. All right? So think about your long-form content. Your long-form content in audio, your long-form content on video, getting your content over on YouTube. Think about your blogs. People get to immerse and binge, and your long-form content gets to do that for you. Number 5, and this is a key one. Your long-form content sets you apart from the sea of people in your industry. People are very quick to jump on social media, post their quotes, their quote videos, and give you a whole lot of regurgitated short-form content that has been said by everybody else. Now, the way to stand out through real expertise, the way to stand out on social media, not just social media, the way to stand out in your industry is through real expertise. Showing that you understand your industry and what's really going on. Showing real expertise. Your social media content is getting scrolled through faster than ever. Your long-form content, and pay attention, folks. Your long-form content gets to slow people down and gets them to take in the points you are trying to drive home. It gets to slow people down. Your podcast, people have to go to your podcast, press play. Slows them down. When people are watching your YouTube videos, YouTube is longer form content, slows them down. When people are reading your blogs, even when they're skimming to get to the points, if you write your blogs well, the goal of your blog should be to give people the points quick and easy. So you want to allow people to skim your blogs quick and easy so they can come to a decision quick. Okay, this blog has the information I need. I like the 3 points. Let me actually go back and read the damn thing now. But with blogs are quick and easy to skim, all right? If you structure correctly. They're quick and easy to skim so people can quickly discern between what is garbage and what is something they need to go back and read. So 3 points to do X, Y, and Z. They quickly read the 3 overall points. Okay, this is garbage. Next. Go to the next blog. Quickly read the 3 points. Oh, this is it. This is what I need. Now let me just go back. Let me go back and read it. And then they get to see, oh, this person has other blogs. Let me go read that. Slows them down. That is what your long-form content does. Your long-form content slows your audience down. And if your long-form content is good, you're going to retain your audience. They can't wait for the next podcast. They can't wait for the next blog. They turn on your website notifications so they get notified every single time you release a new blog. They turn on the notifications for your YouTube channel because they always want to see when you're dropping your next YouTube video. Attention span is only a thing on social media, especially on social media platforms that promote, quick content. TikTok videos, Instagram Reels. But remember too, even Instagram Reels expanded to 90 seconds, a minute and 30. Even Instagram Reels expanded to 90 seconds. So again, that is all showing you that the data that all of these platforms are seeing is that they want the long form content. People want long form content. the platforms see that and they're giving it to you because ultimately the long form content helps you stay on their platform longer. If people's attention spans really were, an issue, then they wouldn't care to give you the longer form content. They wouldn't care to give you that. But they're pushing the long form content because the data is showing that people want to watch the long form content. People's attention spans are going to flick through things when the content isn't good. And if the platform that you're on makes it easy to scroll through, like a TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, then they're gonna scroll through. They're gonna scroll through. They're gonna scroll through. But people don't scroll on a podcast. They press play. People will skim on a blog, to make sure that it's actually good, and then read the damn thing. And then they might read a few more. And then they might turn the notifications on and then read all the blogs that you put out. They got to think about the newspapers. People skim through the newspapers, but when they get to something that they like, they read the entire thing. And a newspaper, all the content is long-form content in a newspaper. So as a business owner, if you really want to establish your expertise and build your audience, you really should be focusing on your long-form content. Chop up your long-form content into short bits to tease people to the long-form content. Give them that taste, but then bring them back to your long-form content. And then that is also going to set you apart from everybody else in your industry because the majority of the people are still posting product pictures. Jesus Christ, product pictures or product videos or quotes, quote pics or now quote videos. And then you look at everything else in their social media platform. There is no long form content. They're not exploring any ideas. They're not showing you that they understand your pain points or they don't understand your desires and how to help you get there. That is what your long form content does as well. It is showing your audience that you are the person that can take them from point A to point Z. Right? Your short form content might take people from point A to point B, but your long form content is going to take people a longer journey. And it just sets you apart from everybody else. The majority of the business owners across the entire Caribbean are just posting quick videos, and that's it. And then if you want to see where their mindset is at or, where they think on it, you got to hope that, they get booked to go speak somewhere where they're forced to do long form content. Or maybe you paid them. And then you realize, this person actually knows what they're doing or knows what they're talking about. But then you got to pay them. And then again, most of the people that people are paying right now are left disappointed because they're like, I did not get what I want. But you were never going to get what you want. What about that person made it seem like they were going to give you what they wanted? You looked at their content. All their content is pick quotes. Snippets about their day. What led you to believe that they were going to be able to get you to point A to point B? They haven't shown through their content that they are the person to do business with. Right? So your long form is going to set you apart from everybody else. All right? That brings us to point number 6. Every long form content type is Googleable. Every long form content, think about that. Every place you would create long form content on is Googleable. If you're creating blogs, that's on your website, that's Googleable. If you're creating YouTube videos, that's Googleable. Heck, even if you're creating short form videos on YouTube Shorts, that's Googleable too. If you're creating podcasts are Googleable. Hello, Google Podcasts. Apple Podcasts has their own algorithm, their own SEO as well, and that's the biggest Apple Podcasts is the biggest podcasting platform, but because of Google Podcasts, Google Podcasts make your podcast Googleable as well. There was a whole podcast section, Google Podcasts, on the Google search results pages, right? So that's Googleable. And then so audio, video, and written. All long-form content is Googleable. All of your short-form content outside of YouTube Shorts, because YouTube's a search engine, but all of your short-form content on all of these social media platforms, that's not Googleable. All right? So again, if you're a business owner, you're also going to get longer shelf life on your content because you're going to be creating the content on all of the platforms that allows for your content to be Googleable, right? So you'll get a higher return on investment because your long-form content is going to last longer. I still have blogs I did back in 2018 that bring me traction, that are amongst the highest views for my website every single month. And that's content I've done. Matter of fact, I'm not going to lie to you. The top 5 pieces of content that are driving traffic to my website, that are showing up in the most Google searches for my platform, the top 5 pieces of content and the top 5 most Googleable things are things that I've done in 2018 and 2019. And that's amazing, right? That's amazing. It's a testament that, how relevant that information is to this day. But on the flip side, I'm like, God, I'm really competing against myself. Like, I haven't made something that is outperforming content I did years ago. And it's not to say that the new content isn't good. It's just that content that I did is just so relevant that it continues to bring in the most traffic for me every single month. My content around PayPal, my content around e-commerce and the top payment mechanisms. I have an article talking about, how to become the face of a brand. Like, these are ideas that are just so topical. They're evergreen. They're topical. They're highly, highly searched every single month. And they just bring in the most traffic. That long-form content brings in the most traffic. It's my highest viewed YouTube videos, and it's my highest read articles on my website. And I just haven't beaten it yet. So your long-form content is going to last long. It's going to bring in your traffic over time. And again, we have all the tools to see, what your top performing content is, what is showing up in the most Google searches, what is bringing in the most traffic. We have all the tools to see all of that. All right. Social media, you don't know what is bringing people to your social media page. There's no metrics for that. There's no metrics to say, what is. There are paid tools. Now, there are paid tools that will show you, the most highly viewed posts. Well, Instagram, TikTok, they do give you some stats. They do show you, your top performing pieces of content, right? They do show you that. So I'll take that back. They do show you that, right? But the difference is that, if you have your website set up correctly, you can see what piece of content is getting people to convert on your page, bringing people to your email list, subscribing to your email list. You can directly see what is the piece of content that brought people to the page that made them pay for your products or services. We can track all of those things. So while on social media, you could see your top performing pieces of content. That stops there. If you're in business, you want your content to turn into dollars and cents. So you want to be able to say, this one article, this one video has generated $100,000 in revenue for me. And you can see that because you have your website, you are showing up on a Google search, you're showing up on a Google search, and you can see the entire customer journey Where they found you. Did they find you on Bing? Did they find you on Google? Did they find you on social media? Then they came to your website. This was a piece of content that brought them to the website. And then from the website, you can see the whole journey, where they went to next. Maybe they watched, 3 other related articles to it. Then they went to the product page or service page, and then they made the purchase. But you can see where that came from. Right. And I mean, at this day and age, and we're going to have an episode talking about dark social, because nowadays you can't track every single, you can't track everything. You can't track where every lead comes from. You can't track where every sale comes from. Right. And dark social is a thing. Dark social is where you can't track it, but your brand is being shared. Your brand is being promoted. Right? You can't track when somebody downloads, let's just say they download a TikTok video, sends it to their friend, right? Sends it to their friend, and then your friend sends a link to a product. And the friend watches the video, likes the video, clicks the link, makes a purchase. You can't track the fact that it came from TikTok, and it came from the friend downloading the video and sending it to the other friend. So we're gonna have an episode talking about dark social, because dark social is really, really cool. You can't really track where the traction is coming from, but best believe, the only real way to track dark social is when a sale comes in or somebody new comes in. You just got to start asking people. You really got to start just, sending out surveys. Surveys are going to be making a resurgence, because there are so many ways to share content today, and you have no idea where people found you from without asking. Right? Somebody might have heard your podcast. They might have heard your interview somewhere. Somebody might have reshared your podcast, and that person just learned about your brand like that, and then directly went to your website to make a purchase or sign up to your email list. But you might not have known that the initial point of contact was them being your podcast being reshared in the WhatsApp group. Right. But that's a topic for another episode. We'll get into dark social, where I could really dive into that topic. But yeah, just to wrap up, that six reason is every long form piece of content is Googleable. If you have the right tools in place, your website, your CRM, Google Analytics, Google Search Console, you can track a lot of things. Right? You could track a lot of things. Dark social is a topic for another conversation, but there's still a lot of things that you can track to get a good idea as to where people are coming from, right? And all of your long-form content is going to show up in a Google search, so the shelf life of the content is going to last longer, and it's giving more opportunities for people to find your content. Social media, your content gets buried after a week, all right? For the most part, your content is buried, it's dead, it's gone after a week. Social media algorithms bury your content after a week. But your long-form content lives on a heck of a lot longer, because all of the platforms all of the forms, audio, podcasts, videos, YouTube, your blogs, your website, all of those things are found via the search engines that extend the shelf life, and people can find your content for years to come. All right? And that is things that you need as a business owner. So those are the 6 reasons why you need long-form content. And I really stress on, the fact that business owners, you guys need to show that you understand your industry and understand your niche. And this is going to set you apart from everybody else. When people find your brand, they are looking to see, can you solve my problem or help me achieve a goal? And if your content doesn't show people that, right? If your content doesn't show people that, then you just get grouped up with everybody else in your space. You just get grouped up with everybody else in your space. And your long-form content also helps to disqualify people who are not your ideal customers. And that's huge. That should be point number 7. Your long-form content helps people disqualify themselves. So when people read your blogs or watch your videos, your long-form videos, or listen to the podcast, they get to understand your take on the problem or whatever you're trying to solve with your industry. And they either really agree, they really agree with you, so that way by the time they reach out to you, they've already sold themselves and they already know you are the perfect fit for them. And then it's up to you to determine whether, you want to work with them or whatever, right? Or they listen to your content and they say, oh, no, this person's too radical, I don't agree with them, and they've disqualified you from them. They've disqualified themselves. So they're not going to waste your time bothering you. When you still only produce short form pieces of content, people are still going to be reaching out and asking a million questions because they're still trying to figure you out and figure out if you are the person to help them. But when you create your long form content, trust and believe when people reach out, they've already sold themselves. And they know you are the person to solve their problem. Okay? So that's it for me on this episode. We are coming up to the 1 hour mark. That's usually my cutoff time. So if you enjoyed this episode, please jump over on, any of the platforms that you listen to the podcast on, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to the podcast, please do me a favor and rate the podcast. The ratings help to grow the podcast, to get pushed out to the podcasting algorithms. People that are looking to see if this is the podcast for them, they look at the reviews, they look at the ratings, and they say, this is it, or no, this is not. So please rate the podcast if you enjoyed the content. Also gives me a pulse check on whether or not you guys are enjoying the content as well. Also, if you really enjoyed the episode, please drop a review for me. The reviews greatly help. I read all the reviews that I get. It really helps me, continue to tweak and tune the podcast, ensure that I'm giving you guys value every time we turn the microphone on. Again, it lets me know that I'm on the right track with the reviews, so please drop a review. Also, when other people are reading the reviews, they will determine whether or not this is the podcast for them. And we want to grow the Digipreneur podcast family, right? The Digipreneur FM podcast is one of the top-rated podcasts all across the Caribbean, from Trinidad and Tobago to Dominica to Barbados to Jamaica. We chart in all of the islands, and we're usually in the top 20. So it definitely does help, all right? So drop a review if you guys really enjoyed the podcast. If you want more helpful content, if you want more of my short form content, more tips, you want to engage with me more, you want more information, definitely check me out over on social media. Karen Rose, KeronRosc on all social media platforms, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I am most active on LinkedIn and Instagram, especially Instagram stories, where I'm constantly showing my behind the scenes, right? And you guys can always check out the KarenRose.com website to learn more about building your digital presence and monetizing your platforms. And last but not least, don't forget to check out the podcast website, digipreneur.fm. Those two websites are linked in the show notes as well. And that allows you to stay up to date on the podcast. You can go and sign up for the email list or sign up for the notification list so you never miss a Digipreneur podcast episode, all right? That is it from me today, folks. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you guys in the next episode. The next episode is going to be episode 100, so I'm really excited for that, all right? Take care!
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Karan Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Karan Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.